So leading into 2023, I accomplished a lot of personal goals the previous year. I knew physically I was right where I needed to be. I maintained everything through the injury. There was no reason I needed to take a step back. So my biggest goal when it came to training is just maintain, stay off the ground, stay fresh, and just keep climbing. Like we said before, I really enjoyed the process of the training, the process of pushing myself, just the process of seeing how far we can take this. So the hand is feeling good. I got most of my strength back. I'm feeling pretty confident to grab the handlebars, get into a good sprint session, and get some power back in these legs. I'm Barry Nobles, and this is my story. You gotta put this inside. Yeah. Right here. Oh, shit. Time at home doesn't mean things slow down. I'm still training, still being a father, still being a husband, still putting out content. And a new goal has been starting a new brand, 9-5 Ride Co. I wanted to do a brand that is merch for myself, but I want to do something that's just more than Barry Nobles. A brand that when I'm not racing anymore, we can stay in the sport and have a riding lifestyle type brand. So that's when we branded 9-5 as 9-5 Ride Co. My wife Kelsey is super involved. We literally wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for her. We are such a true team, her and I. Not that she doesn't have enough on her plate being a full-time mom to our wild child, Willow, but she was the perfect one to put in charge of this 9-5 brand. I leave so much in her hands with this brand, but when it comes down to packing and dropping them off at the post office, that's my job. So seeing where all these are going around the world is absolutely mind-blowing on how fast this is growing. So after 12 months, my head down, one focus, and then a forced 8 weeks off the bike, it really reminded me how much I've actually missed riding my bike. So it's time to just have some fun and do what we all love the most, just ride bikes. As you guys saw in part one, there's awesome riding spots popping up all over the South, and we just got invited to another rad spot. So the year started off with a bang, had fun on different bikes, got a couple wins under my belt, and now we gotta head to Nashville for the Music City National. My very first national I rode outside of Alabama when I was 12 years old, just starting BMX. So I got a lot of history at this race. Fast forward to a few years later, it's where I got my first ever elite win. So I got a lot of good memories and a lot of history from this track. Nashville feeling like home turf, I always just feel really good. I'm really motivated to do well. It's kind of hometown type of crowd. Checking the boxes, everything's going to plan, winning every lap. The goal is to win start to finish every single lap. Main event came around and get the whole shot, tap manual to jump into the first turn, and I feel something hit my legs. Then something sounded like the drivetrain of my bike was just about to explode. Land going to the first turn, completely back off, look down, and my seat had actually popped out of the frame and fell between my legs. And I gave away what would have been my last points win of the season. With the points, you can only take your top 8 scores into the finals. And I had such a good season, I nearly maxed those out halfway through the year until that happened. All right, next up, the main goal for the year, UCI BMX World Championships in Glasgow, Scotland. At this point, it's been 10 years since my last World Championships as an elite in New Zealand, and this has actually been 20 years since my very first World Championship as an amateur in 2003 in Perth, Australia. My mom was with me in Perth 20 years ago, so I made sure I was bringing my mom to Scotland with me. I got my wife Kelsey with me. We know the training's good. We're right where we need to be. It's time to fight for the stripes. I've been doing this for a long time. I try to go into every BMX race as if it's just another race, but at the end of the day, you're gonna put a title on it, right? It's World Championships. You're still getting on a gate of 8. You're still riding your bike like any other race, but we gotta find a way to bring those stress levels down that we just sometimes can't help but create. First moto of any race is a stressful one just because that's where the day kicks off. So I'm trying to treat it as if it's just like any other USA BMX race back home. Gate drops, won that lap. Gate 2, won that lap. Gate 3, we're right on track. We want to win every lap. Every lap I win is good motivation going into the next lap. I come out of the first turn with a good lead, do the same tap manual I've been doing every other lap, front wheel drops, washes out. So in Europe, they use like a crushed limestone for the wet weather on top of the tracks. In America, we have soil tack, so it's nice and hard. Sliding out is something we never have to worry about. It happened so fast, head went straight into the next roller, all my weight came down to my arm, and that crushed limestone just shredded my elbow.
Also our third moto, as you guys just saw, and it slid out, and check this out. Can we see that one, Doc?
It's got a bit of another until we race it again. Okay.
For a split second, I thought I just threw the day away. Luckily, I remembered we're only in the 3rd round. We're still moving on to the semi. I get off the track, realize I'm bleeding all over the place. I go over to the medic, my arm is completely destroyed. They want to stitch it up. We don't have time to stitch it up. We got a semi coming up. So I talked them in and just wrapping me up, and I said, I promise, after the main event, because I know I'm gonna be in the main event, I'll come right back over here to get it stitched up. They wrapped me up, and literally 5 minutes later, I was heading back up to the gate for my semifinal. Going up to the semi, you guys have heard me talk about it before. We want that lane 1, we want the inside. I get up there, somehow I still had first lane choice, got in gate 1, we're right back into my zone, right where everything needs to be, no hiccups. Boom, gate drops, win my semi. Again, right where we need to be going to the final, first lane choice. So going into the semi after the elbow, I had a lot of mental distractions. I just had to get back up there, focus, everything went to plan. So now, the new stresses are in the finals. You've had this day that started great, had a hiccup, but we're in the final, we're in gate 1. We just gotta breathe and just let it happen like any other race. Loaded the gate, the entire crowd went quiet, gate drops, got to the first jump, didn't see anyone around me, and it was like I had the track to myself, and it was probably the easiest, most relaxing lap of the day.
Barry Nobles is your world champion.
That race was such a race, like, I just knew I was gonna win. I don't know why, I just knew. I've never been so confident, like, I'm gonna win this race. There was no other option, you know? So once it was over, like I've talked about it before, I like the process. I like the process leading into a race. The end outcome is always kind of a depressing moment because it's like, it's over now. It's like the journey stops there. So it's such a fun lead up to it, and then you get it, and as great as it is, for a split second, it's just, oh well, it's over now, you know? But with all that being said, when I got on the podium, It was the first podium where I've heard my national anthem. And when I was on the podium, they put the jersey on me, but when the national anthem played, that's when it all hit home. That's when I actually got a lump in my throat and started to get a little emotional then, because it just, that's when it all really sunk in. When you're on the podium and you hear your national anthem, it gets real. And you realize, like, this is what we worked for. So 2022, I had the goal to be consistent, make it through a full year, win races. Win races will give me a title. Check that box. This year, new title, win world champs. Boom, check that box. Now I was in a weird limbo where, not that I didn't want to ride, but I didn't want to have this focus that I had. I just kind of wanted to take a break and just ride my bike and have fun. I skipped a couple races at the end of the year and focused on getting my yard back together because I wanted to have a Halloween jam, which was right around the corner. So I grew up doing this. This is how BMX began for me. Literally a manure pile next to my mom's barn growing up with horses. Fast forward to all these years later, 36 years old, I'm still out back digging holes, but now I got my own skid steer and can do it big machinery. We are home base right now. My annual Halloween jam. This is like the one time a year that I have a chance to let all the locals and everybody come ride my spot. Everybody sees my yard on social media, so each year the hype gets a little bigger. And in this case, I think I bit off a little more than I can chew, and there's probably gonna be more people here than expected, which is cool. A handful of people I've never even met before, but yeah, we're having a good time. Just kind of kick back, ride some dirt jumps, and have a good time with everybody.
This is Bart's house, baby.
So this year's Halloween, this is my Bart Wayne alter ego. I'm not 100% in costume right now. Normally I'm missing a tooth and the accent's deep, but. So now this year I wanted a small line for people to kind of warm up or learn on that flows into the main line. So if you can get through the small line, I'll let you go for the main line. So with that being said, I invited a lot more people than I've ever invited. I actually had a handful of people I'd never even met before out here, so it was pretty awesome to see some skill sets expand a bit. There you go! Good job, dude. So I had my 2 months at home, a good mental reset, which was well needed at this point, but now getting a little antsy to get back on the road, get back in competition mode. Tulsa was next on the list. Time to focus, get back to work, and focus on a championship. Tulsa, Oklahoma, the greatest race on earth. We're healthy. We've checked a lot of boxes this year. Motivation is high. It was a perfect weekend, undefeated. Last year, I actually skipped the day one of racing, which is the ROC, the rock they call it. Well, this year I'm feeling healthy. Sponsors don't want me to sit out, so I had to race the rock, which was 6 laps. That's 6 extra laps of energy that I'm not gonna have for the next day. Won my 3 motos, won my quarter, won my semi. So at this point, recovery is key. I need to be as fresh as I can be on Grand's Day. The goal is to repeat how the day before and every other race this year has gone. Let's get through motos, let's get through quarters, let's win every lap, let's keep the motivation high. I won my quarter, that gets us into the night show. Main 1, gate drops. Autopilot, don't see anyone, win it. Gate 2, on repeat. Gate 3, final number 3, I'm in gate 1, easiest lap of the day. No stress, the mental game is completely relaxed, and that's when I think I laid down my best lap of the weekend. Cross the finish line, first person I see, my wife Kelsey. the perfect ending to a fairy tale season. To top it all off, I was just presented with my second Golden Crank Award, which is the Pro of the Year, which is voted by you guys. The overall championship title is great. I absolutely love it. It's such an honor. But to get the Golden Crank Award, in my book, that's just over that championship for me. I'm the rider I am because of the kid I was and the pros I looked up to and the influence that those pros gave to me, which all I want to do is give that influence back to you guys, and you guys gave me that award. So the appreciation is undescribable for that one. To be leaving Grands with a set of Golden Cranks, a title cup, a world championship from 5 months ago. This year is gonna be hard to beat. But those shelves could use a fourth. Back to work.
Slamma in control of his own destiny tonight.